What is up, everybody? My name is Jack Billings and I'm the CEO and founder of Shedknives. Today I have with me the 2023 Atlas here by Shedknives. So today we're going to take a detailed look at this knife. Let's start off with the overall appearance here. The knife has a black Kydex sheath along with a Kydex clip and 2 bolts. We have a G10 handle, 3 bolts in the knife here, and a stonewash blade, which you can see better right here. So we have a nice stonewash blade, and we have a hollow grind here running across the blade. We have a sharpening choil, jimping, a 1/2 inch hole there, and a 1/2 inch hole here as well. So that's the overview, but let's go ahead and get into some of the details. First off, the 2023 Atlas. What does Atlas mean? Well, an atlas, it's something that goes everywhere with you. It's a map. It shows the lay of the land, that sort of thing. So when you're out in the outdoors, you're using your map, you're using your atlas to get from point A to point B or wherever you're going. The 2023 Atlas can help make that happen. So it's a beautiful knife, it really is, and the weight on this thing is insane. We have a 3/16 blade here. It's actually quite a thick blade. Seriously, like this, it's very heavy compared to the 2022 models, which makes this a great chopper. Everybody who's picked up the Atlas so far, they can just feel the quality. And I'm not saying that for them. They said it themselves. They can just feel the quality simply by picking it up. They not even using it yet. They just, wow, this is a quality blade here. Then the sheath. Let's go ahead and look at the sheath a little bit here. As you know, with the 2022 models, it was more just a rectangular sheath. Nothing too crazy, not much curvature with the knife or throughout the sheath. So just something pretty simple. Where this year, I figured, let me add some different features here. Let me make the knife click in different parts so we can maximize the sound of the sheath. And with the Atlas being a little different here because of how large of a blade it is compared to knives like the 2023 Skewer, where it's got more curves in the blade, small surface area, that type of thing. The small curves, that type of thing. The Atlas is a massive chunk of steel compared to knives like the Skewer or the US Tonto. So it's very rectangular here. We do have a little curve at the top, have a 1/2 inch lanyard hole there. And for any of you who know how to do Kydex, you'll know that there's plenty of ways to make a knife click in the sheath to get it to hold. But for a lot of you who don't know how Kydex works, a few points that the knife can lock into the sheath here. We have the sharpening choil, we have the handle itself, we have this part in the back, we have the hole right up there, that 1/2 inch hole there, and some of the jimping up top. So these are all components that can help lock the knife into the sheath, where I decided to use primarily this hole right there, the 1/2 inch hole, as the clicking component. So of course it clicks in other spots like the handle. That's why the handle comes up high there. But it's also easier to get your knife in. Think about it. If you have a 3/16 gap, like we see right here, it's much more difficult to get your knife into that spot compared to this 0.75 inch gap right there. So it's a bit easier to get your knife into the sheath, and then it clicks right in. So it won't drop out. We can shake this thing all day. It's not going to drop because it clicks in, but it's easy to pull it out. But let's go ahead and listen to the sheath. You'll hear exactly what I mean when I say I maximize the sound of the sheath. So let's listen to the click. It's a nice click there, nice sound. And let's go ahead and pull it out. Do that one more time. Just sounds pretty cool. It's got a unique sound compared to some of the other knives. A lot of the other knives, they have a nice click to them because, like I said, we're maximizing these components around the knife, around the blade, around the handle. But because of the mass of the Atlas, that's how we get that cool pull sound from it. Get that awesome pull. So I think that's enough about the sheath. It does come with the Kydex clip here, so matches the sheath as well. But let's get into the actual knife itself. So let's start with the handle here. The handle, like I said, it's G10. We have 3 bolts on here. Something special about these bolts, you can interchange them. So let's just say one of these bolts comes out of your sheath. You can use the same exact bolts from your sheath and from your knife. They're the same ones. So you can take the center one out and replace one of the ones on your sheath, or maybe one of the bolts fall out, which I highly doubt they will on the knife. Then you can just pull one from the sheath if needed. So that's pretty cool. I'm not familiar of any other company that has interchangeable parts with the knife itself. I mean, yes, you could take bolts from one Atlas and move it to another Atlas, but I'm not familiar with any other brands or any other companies who have parts that you can actually replace throughout the knife, throughout the equipment itself. So just a cool feature there. We're using CPM 154 steel here. If you haven't seen the video on why I chose that, it's right up in the corner there. So that's a cool video where you can learn a little bit about CPM 154 and why I pick it. But to sum it up, it's a really high quality bushcraft steel here. You can chop with it, you can cut paper, you can do small tasks, all that stuff, and it's still gonna hold an edge. I mean, I can cut paper the same way, or I can cut paper with the same quality before chopping wood that I can do after chopping wood. It's pretty neat, the edge retention here. You have a very, very sharp blade. I changed my sharpening processes for this year, so the knives have a higher quality blade, and that's very important because why? I mean, yes, a knife is cool, but why do we carry a knife? It's to cut things, it's to chop, it's to slash, it's to use the blade. So I needed to maximize the edge retention. So CPM 154 comes into play, and then to actually get it sharp, I had to change the process there. You can see that shining edge right there with the light here. Very sharp edge. Alright, so next up, let's talk about the blade here. I have a hollow grind blade, but it's kind of like a Scandi grind, to be honest. Usually hollow grinds go very high up the blade. For large knives like this, they go quite high. Or with a blade this size, you'd have a flat grind. Well, how my machines are set up, they're hollow grinders. So I wanted to maximize the strength of the steel, which can be done through a short blade, because as we can see right here, it's thick right up there and has that steep decline right there into the blade, so that maximizes the strength, but the steel also helps it maintain its edge. So 2 pros right there of having this knife, because it's very durable with how that grind is. And the hollow grind, if you're familiar with Chris Reeve knives, Chris Reeve, they use the hollow grind on all of their folders because it maximizes sharpening and it maximizes how well the knife cuts. With a flat grind, you're losing the sharpness, but you're increasing the strength. Where a hollow grind, paired with the steel, paired with the sharpening technique, it's just all around a great thing. I can't name any cons with it. It cuts perfectly. I mean, there's no issues. It impressed me, and I made the thing, so there's no issues when you come across this knife. Yeah, so when it comes to edge and the blade here, there's no issues. You can do small tasks as easily as you can do large tasks, and vice versa. So just a great blade there. It also looks pretty cool how we have that stonewash, and yes, through the process the blade here is stonewashed, so We put the blade on, then throw this in the stone washer, and it comes out to this pretty cool finish. The knives first come to us, they're sort of like a very dark gray, so the stone washer actually lightens the color of the knife here. Yeah, so pretty interesting. Also, the handle has kind of been taken from the sheep's foot and the tuatara, with this grip here for the finger, the pointer finger, and then the rest of the handle for the remaining 3 fingers. And then your hand just naturally wants to go to the top there. That's why I put the jimping, so just a nice feature there. So you'll notice this handle is very similar to the tuatara and the sheep's foot. So a very comfortable handle, and something that was designed several years ago but is constantly improved every year. Last, let's talk about this back end here of the knife, the bottom of the handle. Let's talk about that. If you're familiar with any of the 2022 models, which I have on the screen right there and right here, you'll see that the ends of these knives are rounded. Well, why did I go to this curved part here with that, I call it the dull point, because it's not sharp, it won't cut you, but it acts as a point. Why did I do that? Well, it looks cool. If we look at the overall profile of the knife, it looks pretty neat. It just is a style effect. But for functionality, you can use this to crack things. You can use this as an impact device for whatever that may be. So just a cool point there, because there are sometimes you gotta hammer something, you gotta bash something, but of course you're not going to use your blade for that. You could use your spine, but sometimes you just need to use that motion like that. So just a cool point there. Also, the sheath, let's go ahead and put this all together. You can see there is the curve right up there and right here. So I incorporated how it looks in the sheath. So you have that rounded point right there, rounded at the bottom, and then you have that slant cut on the left side, and you have your slant cut on the left side. So incorporated that into the sheath there. So this has been the 2023 Atlas. I certainly hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give a thumbs up down below, and if you want to see more videos like this in the future, please go ahead and hit that subscribe. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.